Hey again. So I'm just I come up to the cliff tops and have a little walk around, look at the sea, look at the view, even though it's a really windy, cold day, a bit grey. I was just thinking about, despite the fact that it's windy and cold, at least it's a lovely view, and I feel really sad because I can do this. I can stand here and look out to sea and have a look at the view, but poor Lucy can't. She can't have a look at anything really, apart from the prison cell, or maybe when she goes to have something to eat and meets other inmates there. And some people would say yes, but she deserves it, but to be honest, I really don't think she does. I don't believe that she's guilty. I don't believe that at all. So have a good look. I did send her a book just before Christmas, and actually no, it was after Christmas. I sent her a book for her birthday, and I know that she does get a lot of letters. People have said that she gets lots and lots of letters. But someone told me that she likes reading. She's an avid reader, and so I thought, okay, well, I'll send her one of my favourite books, which I read years and years ago. In fact, it's actually a very short book, and it's a true story of a lady who lived in Pakistan and who was a cripple, and she spent her whole life up until she was about 19 paralysed. She couldn't really walk. I mean, I think she could move her arms and that was about it. She could talk, but she couldn't walk around. She wasn't able to do much for herself, but she had a privilege of the fact that she was living in a household that was fairly well off and had lots of servants around her. Her father was a well-known Muslim man who, there's a little dog there, who loved her very much and made sure she was well cared for, and he even managed to take her over to London to see lots of doctors, and they tried to make her well, and unfortunately they couldn't. There was nothing they could do for her, and she even made the trip to Mecca as well, and she talked about all of this in her book, and it was interesting. It was read, I think it was written in the early 1980s, which was a few years after I read it. So anyway, she got to the point where her father passed away. He got old and died, and she was in the care then of her aunt, because her mother was already dead. Her mother had died when she was a baby. So she was being looked after by her aunt and other relatives, and she felt that she was a burden on them, and it was very sad because they loved her very much and they wanted the very best for her, but she felt she was a burden, and she started thinking of ways how to kill herself. But while she was thinking of this, one day she heard a voice say to her, while she was alone in her room, "I will not let you die. I will not let you die." And she said, "Who is that?" And she was told, "I am Jesus, son of Maryam. You can read about me in the Quran." So at that time she asked one of her servants to go and buy her a copy of the Quran in her own language, because before that she would only recite it in Arabic. Her own language, I think it was Urdu or something, I can't remember it now. And so she asked them to go and get the copy of Quran in her own language, and she started to read about Jesus, son of Maryam, who did wonderful things, healing people, and miracles that she'd never come across before. Not any miracles that Muhammad had done at all. So she started to pray to Jesus, as well as praying the normal prayers that she would recite on a daily basis, which were the normal Muslim prayers that they recite every day. And she continued to pray about this day after day, week after week, month after month. And I think probably went on, I'm not sure how long she carried on for, maybe a year or so. But anyway, when she eventually got to the point where she couldn't take it anymore, and one night she described how in the early hours of the morning she woke up about 3 o'clock, and she could hear movement in the house as people were getting ready for the early morning prayers at 4 o'clock in the morning, and it was still dark outside. And as she sat there in her room, she cried out to the Lord. She cried out, Jesus, I can't do this anymore. I can't do this anymore. If you're going to help me, then tell me. Otherwise, I can't continue on this path. And something happened as she was praying that. She said there was a light that started to get brighter and brighter in her room. And it became so bright, she thought at first it was her lamp, but the lamp looked pale in comparison to the light that was getting brighter and brighter in her room. And it got so bright that she got really frightened and hid herself under the covers. And as she was hiding there, she thought, oh, maybe the lights came on in the garden had put the lights on, and to frighten away any thieves, because they'd often do that. They put on the lights in the garden, they put on the hoses to spray the flowers in the garden. So she looked out to see if it was the lights from the garden, but it wasn't, because the shutters were still shut and the windows were closed. And at that point she suddenly realised that there were men standing there in the room, shining. There were 13 men, and in the middle of these 13 men was one man who was the tallest, and he spoke to her and he said, I am Mary, I am Jesus, son of Maryam, who you've been praying to. Get up and come to me. And of course she protested and said, I can't, Lord, I can't get up, I'm paralysed. And he said again, I'm Jesus, son of Maryam, who you've been praying to. Get up and come to me. And she again said, I can't walk. And he said, get up and come to me. And at that point, she ran to him. She got up and ran to his feet in the middle of the room. And as she was bathed in this light that was all around her, this extremely bright light, she saw holes in his hands, and he made her recite the Lord's Prayer. And at that point she said many things she suddenly understood. I'm going to go back to and and he told her that he wanted her to remember the Lord's Prayer, and he wanted that her people were his people were her people. That's what he said, and he wanted her to find his people. So that's the story of Esther Goldsham from the Torn Veil, and that's the story I sent to Lucy. And it's an amazing story because it turns out that her family, who were absolutely amazed when she found her walking, became angry afterwards because she wouldn't tell them that Muhammad had healed her. It was Jesus. And in the end, she had to flee. So, anyway, I'm gonna go now. Nice to speak to you. Bye.